name's Felicia Rose. I am the author of the Dying Roses series, which is out now on Amazon and Kindle. And this is Scars and Stillness. Um, this is my podcast that I am just now kind of launching. The Scars and Stillness brand is something that I feel like I've been kind of creating without knowing most of my life. It's just a place for me and others who have experienced trauma and who still very much carry their scars can go. It's a safe space where we can kind of jump right in and talk about real life and trauma and healing and what that looks like and just trying to have a good balance between who you used to be and who you are now and having moments where you feel like some days are great and you feel like you're really healing, but then other days you just don't even understand what's going on inside of your head. That's scars and stillness. Just a place where we can be open and honest together about life, really. So, a little bit about myself. As mentioned, I am the author of the Dying Roses series, which is a very trauma focused book series. It's basically about a girl who, goes through it. She goes through addiction and abuse and self harm and really just tries to, save herself and find herself at the end. And I feel like that's a lot of us in life, really, is that, we grow up in this upbringing where certain things become normalized, like addiction or abuse or, any kind of trauma, really. And then we bring that with us. We carry that with us through adulthood. And we end up in situations that we wish never would have happened to us, like addiction or abuse, domestic violence, things like that, and you kinda get lost, you kinda lose your, self-identity, and I think it's really powerful finding yourself again through the ashes, just figuring out who you are and taking your power back. If you've been through abuse, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you have to take your power back, you have to be your own hero, at some points. Same with addiction, actually. Anyone who's struggled with addiction or is in recovery, I mean, once you're in recovery, you're always in recovery, right? I think it's just the same thing. You have to take your own power back and realize that you aren't your trauma. We're not what happened to us, but it is our responsibility to fix that. And I had posted a while back on my Instagram that direct quote. I had seen that online where it says, "Funny how we aren't the ones who caused our trauma, but it is our responsibility to fix that." And I can understand why that's frustrating. It's frustrating that we have this responsibility now to fix damage that was done to us that we had 0 control over that, right? But I think that it's the same thing as, like, taking your power back and realizing that you matter enough to care about yourself, to heal those parts of yourself. And healing sucks, and it's ugly, and it's messy, and it's not fun, and anyone who tells you differently is lying to you, like, if we're being honest. But that's what this podcast is about for me, is just my journal to the world, a place where I can go, where I can sit down and I can talk about real life, about health and fitness with trauma or, being a mom. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I love them all very much, and we're happy, we're good, we're at a place in our life where we're safe. And again, for people who's been through domestic violence, you know how huge that is, safety, right? Safety, being in an environment where you feel like you're safe to be yourself and breathe and make mistakes. That's where we're all at, where we're safe and we're happy. But healing sometimes hurts just as much or worse. Sometimes going through the transition of trauma and you realize you're in a place where you're healing and you should be all these things, but then you have days where you wake up and you're not. You're not those things. You feel just like you're right back in it. And that's okay. I mean, trauma really does shift and shape our brains where we become these other versions of ourselves because our brains start to do this fight or fight mode. We become survival mode. And especially if you come from childhood trauma where you have been put through trauma since the beginning, your brain is really just surviving. So allowing yourself to heal and kind of work through the muddy water to find yourself again, it takes a lot of courage. I mean, especially when you have to face yourself and you realize that, you know, sometimes through trauma we've made mistakes. We've done things that we wish we could take back or hurt people that we wish we never would have hurt or even allowed ourselves to be in positions that really were not good for us or it wasn't who we even are as people. But I feel like shame also coexists with trauma where it just goes hand in hand. And I just think that it's important to have a place where I can share my feelings and really people can kind of come and find comfort in what I'm saying and realize that they're not alone and that these feelings are I feel like they're normal. I feel like anyone who's experienced trauma realizes that we're not like normal people who can just, wash everything away and everything be fine. And that's okay. I feel like we're beautifully broken and we do have scars. Hence the name of the brand. We do have scars and we carry our scars with us, but it was important for me to have a brand that defines who I am as a person. I have a tattoo on my arm that says, "Wear your tragedies as armor, not shackles." And I stand by that. I feel like that's also the name of my brand is that yes, I have scars, but we also can have stillness. We can also live in like world and a life where we can be beautifully broken and that be okay and love ourselves enough to educate ourselves on our trauma and other people's trauma, like live in a trauma informed way, um, but also have grace with ourselves because I don't know about you guys, but me, sometimes I really struggle. I really struggle with it, especially when, I'm, as mentioned, like I'm a mom of three kids. I also have a partner. And I think that a lot of times I hold the glue of my family. And I think when you're in a role like that as a caretaker and, a mom and just all the things that you feel obligated and also, like, it's just your responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure everyone is okay, and sometimes we have a tendency or I have a tendency to put myself and my own emotions and feelings on the back burner, and then I realize, like, "Oh, man, you're right. I haven't eaten today," or, "I can't remember the last time I did something nice for myself." Or working. I have a really bad habit of just working and working and working, but it's really important for me to provide for my family, and I know that a lot of that has to do with trauma. A lot of that has to do with childhood trauma. And I mean, obviously, in future episodes, we'll get there. We'll cover childhood trauma and all that, and how core beliefs can really stick to us, even core beliefs that aren't from us. They come from our families. That some are great and they should be carried on throughout your life, but some we have to break. We have to move past that, and we'll have episodes where we'll go over all that and kind of dig a little bit deeper. But if you'll join me, this is Scars and Stillness. It's a place where we can go and we can talk about trauma, a place where we can heal with our scars and be beautifully broken together, and a place where we can feel safe to do so. So I hope you enjoy them and I hope you stick with me. Take care, everyone.